These are all characters from games that mean a lot to me, and I loved being able to share my ideas about them with everyone. And really guys, I want to thank you all so much. It means a lot to see that so many of you wanted me to do this. Of course, I know you guys have your requests as well, and starting next episode, we will be getting right back into them. As a matter of fact, because I'm so appreciative of you guys, how's about I give you all a little once-in-a-blue-moon treat? But this is only for you guys, the ones actually willing to watch this far in. So, shh. Don't tell anyone. This is just gonna be our little secret. The Master of Dimensions, a jester with an agenda. By far one of the most manipulative characters in the Mario series. Dimentio, from Super Paper Mario. Dimentio at first played his role as a minion to the deranged Count Bleck, who claimed his goal was to use the powers of a wicked evil called the Chaos Heart to destroy all worlds in the universe and replace them with new, perfect worlds. It didn't take long though for Dimentio to figure out that Count Bleck didn't actually have any intention of rebuilding the worlds, he just wanted to leave them in ruin. This did not sit well with Dimentio, so he took it upon himself to do his own backstage duties. He manipulated things to aid the heroes so that they would defeat Count Bleck, and once they do so, he would take the Chaos Heart for himself so that he could act on the original plan that Bleck had promised him. Except it wouldn't be Bleck ruling those new worlds, it'd be Dimentio, promoting himself from the role as the fool to a role as king. He almost got away with it, but thanks to the literal power of love, I am not kidding, he was thwarted and the worlds were saved. The curtain has been lowered on Dimentio ever since then, but boy did he make an impression, so much so that he's in high demand to be given a moveset for Super Smash Bros. Coming in to take over the show with a snap of his fingers and a wave of his hand to entertain the masses with his magic. So getting right into things, being a character from the Paper Mario series, he would be a flat character, and as such, would be incredibly light. But to also emphasize his natural ability to hover, he'd be a very floaty character as well. He'd have 2 jumps and no additional movement options. So the interesting challenge behind making a moveset for Dimentio was actually trying to get a good grasp on how he would fight. After all, he's only ever appeared in one game, and even in that game, he mostly worked off screen. We see him very little. So as such, there was a lot of innovation that I needed to do to fill out this moveset, coming up with ideas that not only pull from what little we see on Dimentio, but also pulling from other outside sources that fit to his theming. So to get things started with his jab, he'll have a one-hit projectile jab that has him shoot a single square-shaped projectile horizontally forwards. It comes out quick, but it actually flies kinda slowly before it disappears. This attack comes from the shots fired at Mario & Co. during the Super Dimentio boss fight, the ones shot by the platforms themselves to keep you on your toes. The dash attack can actually be a very similar dash attack that I gave to Paper Mario in his moveset video, having Dimentio spin in horizontal circles forwards to deal multi-hitting damage. While it is like Paper Mario's, this attack more so references the almost UFO-like charge attack that Super Dimentio can do. Now starting with the side tilt, this will be where I start pulling from other kinds of thematically appropriate sources, specifically the theme of the Jester. The side tilt can have Dimentio spit a quick burst of fire from his mouth forwards, referencing a common Jester trick where they breathe fire. This attack is near instantaneous, starting and ending with very few frames, and it also has a bit of disjoint, making it overall a fairly safe move to use. For the up tilt, Dimentio returns to the most basic kind of performer's act, juggling. Except he's not juggling balls, he juggles knives. Though in this case, the knives are actually made of the same kind of sharp shape that make up his magic shurikens. He'll juggle a few in hand, and getting hit by any of the blades will send foes upwards. For the down tilt, I'm giving him a fairly common tool that we see Jesters use for their axe, as well as a common weapon that Jester class characters have in games, a whip. This whip, however, is comprised of the same material that make up the arms and legs of Super Dimentio. He'll conjure it and whip it at the ground in front of himself. This is another fairly fast move, and it launches foes at low angles. Now for Dimentio's side smash, this could actually have him use an attack that we see from him quite often in Super Paper Mario, albeit mostly for more murdery purposes, causing an explosion with the snap of his fingers. The explosion happens a bit away in front of Dimentio, and while it is a fair size, this move can miss if the foe is too close to Dimentio. It also doesn't come out right away. There is a small delay between the finger snap and the actual explosion, but despite those drawbacks, it's still a powerful move able to deal massive damage. Next for the up smash, I'll be giving Dimentio yet another new tool from his Jester origins, stilts. For this moveset, he'll be able to conjure magic stilts from the soles of his feet, and for this up smash, it'll have him quickly raise his body upwards using the stilts to smash any foe above himself with his head. And since this move does lift him upwards, it can be used to dodge lower attacks. While the stilts are original, the idea from this move mostly comes from another attack that Super Dimentio can use, which involves him jumping straight up before crashing back down. Moving on to the down smash, this can be a move where Dimentio starts to utilize his powers as an illusionist. He'll create a duplicate of himself, and they'll stand back to back. Both Dimentio and his illusion then enlarge their fists and each slam them into the ground at the same time, hitting on both sides. This attack will be one that dives into Dimentio's crafty nature, making it a weird one for opponents to deal with. Cause even though foes can be hurt by the illusion's fists, they can't actually hurt the illusion themselves. Attacking it will result in their attacks going right through it. The real Dimentio will always be at the front of this attack, but he could very easily turn around while initiating the down smash to throw his foes off guard, making them think they're attacking the real one when they're really attacking the fake. I should also mention that the actual fist smashing part of this attack comes from probably the most common attack that Super Dimentio uses, which also involves him enlarging his fist to smash the ground. Now for the aerials, these can be where Dimentio's profession as a jester can also shine to show some acrobatic acts. For the neutral air, this can be another attack where he creates an illusion. He'll do so, and the two will join hands as they both kick outwards, hitting towards both the left and the right at the same time. The same rules do apply here for the illusion as it does for the down smash. The forward air can have Dimentio do a drill kick forwards, where he points both of his feet ahead and spins to deal multi-hitting damage that launches with the final hit. The back air can have Dimentio perform a backflip while conjuring his magic stilts at the same time, swinging the stilts behind himself from high to low for a disjointed attack that can also spike foes at its sweet spots. The up air can have him conjure his magic whip and wave it above himself back and forth a few times. The hitbox of this move lasts for a bit as the whip waves, but it will launch foes on contact. And the down air can also have him use his magic stilts, but this time having them shoot from his feet straight downwards for another disjointed attack. And like for his back air, sweet spotting this move will spike foes, possibly sending them straight to the underwear. Something that Dimentio is very good at doing. Dimentio could have a disjointed psychokinetic grab where he latches onto you with magic. He'll pummel by squeezing you with that same kind of magic. The forward throw can have him conjure his whip, then whip the foe forwards. The back throw can have an illusion appear behind the foe, which then rams the foe in the back through Dimentio, making what you thought was the real Dimentio disappear, revealing that through magic, he traded places with the illusion. The up throw can have him teleport the foe away with his dimensional warp, then they reappear high up and are shot straight into the ground, bouncing back into the air. And the down throw can have Dimentio trap the foe in one of his dimensional glass boxes and shrink it on the foe to crush them until the box breaks and knocks the foe away. For Dimentio's neutral special attack, he could use his go-to magic spell of choice. I'm not actually sure what it's called, so I'm just going to call it the Magic Shuriken. This attack works just like how he uses it during his boss fights in Super Paper Mario. He conjures the shuriken over his head and can throw it into any direction based on controller input. It moves kinda slow, but it lasts for a while before it disappears on its own. It deals decent damage on top of a bit of knockback, and it will disappear upon making contact with something or someone. Only 3 of these shuriken can be on screen at a time. If Dimentio tries to shoot a 4th one, then the first one will vanish. Next, for Dimentio's side special, he could use another common magic spell that we see from him, used to quite literally captivate his audience: the Dimensional Glass. Activating side special will have Dimentio start growing a square box right in front of himself, and once the box automatically reaches its max size, it forms glass. It takes about 2 seconds for the glass box to take form, but if any foe is touching the box as soon as it finishes, then it will actually trap them inside of it. They don't need to be fully inside the box, just touching it, from which the box will pull the foe all the way in. This box actually does act as a brand new temporary platform that can be stood on both the top and on the inside, and you cannot pass through it. And if you're one of the unlucky ones to be caught inside the dimensional box, there's only one way to escape: by breaking it. The box can take about 20% of damage, and after sustaining that, it will break open, freeing anyone trapped inside. It can be attacked from both inside and out. However, attacks from inside the box will not hurt outside players, whereas attacks from outside players can in fact hurt the poor fools who manage to get trapped. Call it a punishment for falling for such an obvious trick. That said, being launched into the box will also deal damage to the box. That way trapped foes won't just be bounced around inside the box forever by their soon-to-be former friends on the outside. It will eventually just break after they bounced around too much. But with that said, there is one specific thing that only Dimentio can do with the dimensional box. If he uses his side smash on it, which may I remind you is the magic explosion, the explosion will actually encompass the entirety of the inside of the box, automatically breaking it, but also dealing massive damage to all foes who were trapped inside. This references by far Dimentio's most deadly trick, trapping his foes inside the box to be met with nothing but explosions, leading their games to an early end. That aside, the box itself will stay out indefinitely until it's broken, but only one box can exist at a time per Dimentio player, and if Dimentio tries to make a new one, then nothing will happen. Next, for Dimentio's up special, he'll use his main means of transportation, as well as one of his favorite tricks to allow him to really dance around his foes: the Dimensional Warp, which for all intents and purposes is another teleport move. He disappears with the dimensional box, then reappears in a new spot a fixed distance away based on controller input, and he does go into freefall afterwards. But there will be another trick that Dimentio can use with this warp, as he doesn't only use it to warp himself, he can also warp other people as well. If any foe is touching the box that Dimentio forms around himself at the moment of his warp, the foe will actually be warped with him. And when they reappear together, Dimentio will still go into freefall, but the caught foe will just be thrown into the air upwards, and this will also cause them a slight amount of damage. With this in mind, one nasty trick I could see this special doing is if Dimentio catches a foe with his warp while they were already high up in the air, then warps even higher. The foe could potentially be star KO'd after reappearing while Dimentio safely falls back down. But speaking of nasty tricks, for Dimentio's down special, this is going to be an interesting yet terrifying attack to fall for. He could use the invention that he obtained from his acquaintance, King Crocus, the Fluorosprouts. Fluorosprouts are little weeds that can be grown on a person's head to brainwash them, forcing the victim to do the grower's bidding. Brainwashing was more Anastasia's thing, but Dimentio sure found himself taking a liking to it as well, using it to take control of Luigi in order to bring his plan of universal domination to fruition. For Smash, Dimentio will snap his fingers, causing a small light to appear in front of himself, and any foe hit by this light will have a Fluorosprout grow on their head. While normally it is a brainwashing tool, for Smash, the Fluorosprout will only cause two effects to the foe. It'll rack up their damage, just like what the flower status does to you in Smash, and it'll also reverse the victim's horizontal controls, turning left into right and right into left. The Fluorosprout will stay on the victim's head for about 6 or 7 seconds at a time before it automatically falls off. Now, despite the Fluorosprouts not actually brainwashing other players, since that'd be way too broken in the context of Smash, that doesn't mean that I'm not incorporating the brainwashing by other means. The Fluorosprouts can in fact be used on enemy assist trophies and Pokemon summoned from Pokeballs, and if they are, then they now belong to Dimentio, working for him and turning on their original summoner. It still only lasts for 6 seconds before the Fluorosprout falls off, from which the item called character then returns to their original behavior, but in a game like Smash, and depending on the character that he brainwashed, those few seconds can very well change the course of the entire match. For Dimentio's final smash, it can be a cinematic final smash that I'm going to call Super Dimension D. Dimension D was a small pocket dimension that Dimentio himself created, and for this final smash, it'll start with Dimentio snapping his fingers and creating a large dimensional box that quickly enlarges around his body, and anyone who touches the box will be pulled in. The cinematic then plays out with all the caught foes being taken to Dimension D, and being met with hundreds of Dimentio's illusions that all begin to barrage the foes with massive amounts of magic shuriken blasts. And while that's going on, a bunch of the other illusions begin to form together to create Super Dimentio, who then smashes the foes with his giant hand, ending the final smash by dealing huge damage and launching them straight out of Dimension D to be launched away when the cinematic ends. For Dimentio's colors, these are going to pretty much be all original. His defaults, of course, has him in his purple and yellow jester attire. For his first alt, we have green and red, then blue and orange, then a darker yellow with indigo, then orange with dark navy, then red and teal, then white and a light gray, and finally black and white. His stage intro can simply have him appear from one of his dimensional warps, prepared and ready to put on a show for all. For taunts, his first can have him doing some quick forwards and backwards somersaults, which seems to be a common habit of his. His next can have him do a few quick horizontal spins before ending with a bow, and his final taunt can have him conjure a few of his illusions that all circle around him. And finally, for his victory animations, his first can show him warping all over the place, making it hard for the camera to keep up, until he appears right in front of the camera with a smirk. His second can show him performing some quick gesture tricks before he just teleports away. And his final can show the entire screen be covered with Dimentio's illusions. That is until the real one parts the way and appears to the center stage to take a bow, ending his performance. And that does it for What If Dimentio was in Smash! In a series about a plumber jumping on turtles to save a princess, I'm sure that most people were not expecting the kind of story that Super Paper Mario brought to the table. It's a story about the sake of the universe, long torn apart lovers finding their way back to each other, and it has by far some of the most complex villains arguably out of the entire Mario series. And I think that's why Dimentio just stuck out to so many people. He's conniving, he's manipulative. Despite being in a game that's in 2D, there's just so many layers to this guy. Dimentio, if brought to Smash Bros, would no doubt be a character to steal the show. Using his combination of magic and cunning, he'd make any Smash match a true spectacle to behold. But with that said, if you enjoyed this spectacle and would like to see even more characters be given possible Smash movesets, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to support the show and help me be able to make more content for you guys, you can click the join button either below the video or my main page to become a sponsor for my channel. Doing so will get you access to my private Discord as well as channel emotes. You can guarantee that your name appears in my videos, or even get the option of knowing what if character is coming up next a week in advance. I really appreciate anything that can be contributed. And of course, if you have a character that you want to see be given a possible Smash moveset, leave a comment down below or contact me on Twitter at BrawlFan1 on Twitch. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching!